Hey everybody. Um, I hope you had a really good Labor Day weekend. Um, I had a pretty eventful weekend. So, on Saturday, I went to the movies with my mom and my fiance, and my sister had watched Liam, and she had let me know that that past week she had a cold, but she was getting over it now. And I didn't think anything about it. She was getting over it, so it shouldn't be nothing to worry about. Well, tomorrow when we woke up for Liam's first bottle at around 9 o'clock in the morning, he he normally drinks 4 ounces and he only drank three, and then on the last ounce he was like drinking a little bit, coughing, drinking a little bit, coughing, like choking a little bit. Excuse me. Um, and I just thought that maybe he didn't want that last ounce. Maybe he wasn't really feeling it that morning. So around 10 o'clock, our friends had asked us if we wanted to come over for dinner for Labor Day. And I said, yeah, sure. And we got over there around 4. Liam was sleeping. He fell asleep on the way there. And then around 5, he had woke up for a bottle. So we got him a bottle, and he did the same thing that he did that morning, just it was a lot worse. Like, he was doing it every ounce. He was being really fussy and not usually himself. I could tell he didn't really feel good. He was definitely starting to not feel good around that time. And I was getting a little nervous about it, but I wasn't too worried about it. Like, he was just coughing and choking a little bit, and I would just sit him up, pat his back, and he would either spit it out or swallow it down. So around, I have to say, well, throughout the day I was checking his temperature, and it was 99.3 and 99.5 in that area. And so around 9, I would have to say it was, I texted my mom asking what I should do, because at that time he had developed a stuffy nose and I was cleaning it out every 10 minutes. And he was having a hard time swallowing, coughing, not really wanting to eat, was fussy, and Liam's not a fussy baby, so I knew something was wrong when he kept being fussy. Like, all he wanted to do was be held and rot, and he just would cry on and off. Like, you'd get him settled, and then he would cry like every 5 minutes. So I knew something was wrong, and so I had texted my mom all of that stuff, and she had said, well, it will make you feel better to go in, then you should go in. And she said that we should go in too. So I had decided to go in. I talked to my friends and I told them, hey, I'm sorry we can stay later. We're going to take a little minute, which they completely understood because they saw how he was all day. And so at 9:30, we got in the truck and we went to the hospital. We got to the hospital around 10:15, 10:30, and I had just picked him up out of his car seat, unbuckled him, and just brought him in that way. And my fiance got the diaper bag. And we walked into the emergency. I went to the front desk and I had said all of his symptoms and what had been going on during that day. And while we were standing there, he started coughing up and kind of choking a little bit. So I set him up and I was patting him on the back, and they were able to see what I had been dealing with all day. And before we even sat down in the waiting room or anything, we had got called back. So we had 2 nurses. They took his temperature, his weight, and then at that time he was really, really stuffy again, so they had cleaned out his nose and took a swab of his nose to see if it's RSV. I was really worried about RSV and pneumonia, so those were my main concerns, because I know at a baby stage, those, just the smallest cold can turn into those. So then they took his pulse and his heart rate. The machine went off, started beeping a little bit, and then the other nurse took his heartbeat on the telescope and was counting his pulses, and the machine and his both added up to the same number. They didn't really say much about it. They just said the nurse or the doctor would be in shortly to talk to us. So at that time he was really, really fussy and not really wanting to do anything but cry. So we had put him in this position, and he loves looking, able to look around and stuff. And at that time, there was on the ceiling little fish where the lights are. So he was like, right here was his head, and he was looking up at the fish, and that kept him content. And then also on the side was a mural of sea creatures. So he was pretty, once he got his eyes going on those two things, he was content. The doctor came in and had asked us what's going on. He checked his his ears and his nose and his mouth. He said that he is running the swab for RSV and that he's going to do an X-ray for pneumonia, and that if they come back negative, that we are to go home and just use saline drops, and that it's just a common cold that's going around. So we took him to get his x-rays, and then we went back into the room. At that time he was getting cranky and sleepy and hungry, so we got him a bottle and we waited for the doctor to come back in. Well, the doctor came back in and he said everything looked normal, all the tests are negative, so we were to go home and try the saline drops. And what you do with those is you squirt 2 drops in one nostril, then clean it out with the squeegee ball thingy, and then do the other side 10 minutes before the feeding, so that he's able to swallow and suck on something, because babies only breathe throughout their nose. So when it's congested, they can't breathe very good. So he's not able to be drinking and stuff if he's all congested. So he said to do that, and that if his fever gets to 100.4, to give him Tylenol, and then if the Tylenol doesn't work, then to come back in. While we were getting discharged, the nurse came back in and checked his heart rate again, and it was still a little high, but they still didn't say anything. So I'm assuming it was nothing to worry about, but that is something I'm going to have to ask the doctor when we have our follow-up appointment, which is next week. So they said if I had any concerns at all, to just give them a call and they would see me sooner, or I could talk to a nurse over the phone. So we got back home about 12. Then he finished his bottle at home and he was in bed for the night. But it was a lot of in your arms, helping him breathe, setting him down for maybe an hour, then picking him back up and then helping him breathe, because while he was sleeping, he then would not be able to breathe because of the congestion. So you would have to pick him up, clean out his nose, and like baby him, because that he hates getting his nose cleaned out. So we did that for a little bit, and then I fell asleep while my fiance took care of him until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I took care of him, and he woke up for a bottle at 3. And then he was really fussy and stuff, and he went back to bed around 4-ish, so he wasn't too bad. And then at around 5:30, I had fell asleep because I kept checking on him to make sure that he didn't need me to pick him up. So at 5:30, I fell asleep, and then at 6, he woke up with a little coughing fit again. So I had to do the whole clean out his nose, pat him on the back so he could either spit it up or swallow it, and rock him a little bit and just baby him. And then I had a doctor's appointment this morning at 8, so I haven't really had much sleep. So my mom said that anytime during the day that she will take over and I will go to sleep. But that is very scary for my 6-week-old to have his first cold, and I'm a first time mom, and I don't know what to do. I'm so thankful for the people who has experienced this before and knows what to do, and if they say go in to get it checked, go in and get it checked. And I'm so thankful that it's just a common cold and that it will be gone within 3 to 5 days is what they said. So my Labor Day actual day was pretty crazy, and then the weekend was pretty crazy too. We celebrated my fiance's birthday also. We celebrated it the weekend before with all of his friends, and then this past weekend I took him and got him his birthday present, and then we went to the movies. And then we also went to a festival. So it's been a really crazy but fun weekend with a little sad in it, and I'm just glad he's okay and he'll be over it before I know it. He's already doing really good today. We've done the saline drops a little bit. We didn't do them last night because we didn't have the prescription for them. So this morning we started them, and he is doing so good. Like when he's sleeping and stuff, you don't hear it in his nose and in his lungs or anything, and he sleeps and he's able to drink his bottle really good, and he's doing so much better, and I really think that he's going to be over it before his next appointment, which is next Wednesday. Alrighty. Well, if you guys have anything that happened on your Labor Day weekend and you would like to share, please leave a comment. And if you have any questions about what happened this weekend, please leave a comment and I'll get right back to you. Thank you.